With the introduction of new firewall cards, Cyberse has just gotten a lot better. Let's take a look at 3 decks and see how they perform. All 3 of the deck lists that we are going to be showcasing come from both my own creation as well as from topping lists from the most recent MCS, or Master Duel Championship Series, which is a tournament held by MBT that mostly is best of ones into a top cut. So all of them have topped, all of them are very good lists, and all of them were made by much better players than myself. So yeah, there you go. If you want to check out the lists, all 3 of them are on the Master Duel Meta website or on YGO Pro if you want to go check those out. But here is the first list, and it's Adagnister Cyberse, or Adagnister Mathmech. It's basically Cyberse Pile. All of these are kind of just Cyberse Pile in very different flavors, which is one thing that makes Cyberse so very interesting, but they all utilize this card in particular, Singularity. And we'll get to him in a second. We're going to start off with the Ignisters. Ignisters, basically, their main gimmick is to summon Dark Infant, which then gets the Field Spell, and the Field Spell, if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, like for example, if you have a Link monster and no other monsters, you can special summon an Adagnister that is of a different attribute than one you've already summoned. So for example, if you get a Chi-Chi, you can special summon it because it's a fire, and then you can go and grab Picari with a Link 2, you can then go Picari, special summon, and that's a light, so now you can't summon the fire or the light, but then you can summon the wind and the water, etc. That's the gimmick of that. And then we all know Mathmech. Mathmech Circular allows you to dump the Sigma, and Sigma, if you have no monsters in your extra monster zone, you are able to then special summon it from the grave. And then on top of that, it searches if you summon a Mathmech monster, and it gets you additional monsters, and what have you. It also does lock you, though. But you can grab Equation, which is just another Monster Reborn, which is pretty good. On top of that, the Adagnisters have things like I Meet You, which searches an Adagnister monster, as well as Idol Reborn, which is again just a Monster Reborn, both of which are pretty good. So let's quickly do the card by card and the explanation. So we have 3 Maxi, we have triple Ash Blossom, we have 3 Infip, we also are playing 3 Book of Eclipse. Again, this is more so for the tournament-esque side of things. It's very good against like Pearly and stuff like that. So that's it for the hand traps. We're also playing 2 Called By and a Crossout. As for the rest of the cards, we are playing a lot of Adagnisters. We're playing 3 Achichi and 3 Picari, because these are the best ones. They both search a monster and a spell, respectively. Then we have Doyon, which has the ability to add back a monster if it's used as Cyberse material, or not Cyberse material. It adds a monster if it's normal or special, and then if it's used as a Cyberse Link material, you can add an I-Spell Trap from your deck to your hand. Pretty good. Then we have Hiyari, which can, I believe, special summon itself if you control a Adagnister monster. Hold on. Yeah. Then we have Baruru, which is a tuner, which is important because it can be searched off of Cyberse Wicked. And then on top of that, it also has the ability to on-summon send a Adagnister monster to the graveyard. And then 1 Gachiri, which can also special summon itself and make a Cyberse monster that uses this card as material, unaffected. Actually, no, it just targets a monster you control and becomes unaffected until the opponent's next turn. So you could just make a big, like, unaffected access code talker if you wanted to. As for the rest, we're playing triple circular, 1 apiece of Sigma, addition, and subtraction, and we're not playing the diameter. Reason for that is because we wanted to use our normal summons on these guys. So not really, it doesn't really make sense to do that. And most of the time, we were wanting to search out addition or subtraction to get access to our link plays instead of the diameter. We're still playing the 1 Alum version, though. We're also playing, of course, 1 Equation, which we already talked about. As for the rest of the cards, we were playing triple Signet Mining, the 2 I Meet You, 2 I Land, and 1 Idol Reborn, and that's it for the main deck. As for the extra, we're playing 1 Winged Pegasus to search out Baruru. That's mostly why it's here. You can also send it to the graveyard with, I think, a few other things, but it's not really in there for any of those reasons. It's mostly for I Meet You to search out the Baruru. Then we have 1 Alimbertion. We have 2 Dark Infant because both of them are used in the main combo line. You summon the first Dark Infant to search out the Island, and you summon the second one with the Dark Templar in order to scoot it over and get yourself an additional material, basically. So that's why that's there. Then we have ourselves the 1 Link Decoder, which is very strong, just giving you a downward pointing link arrow. We have Cyberse Wicked, which can search out the Baruru, or I believe there's another one. You can also search out Sigma, so there's that. But yeah, it's just a good one to have as a link too. We have Splash Mage, we have G-Golem, Crystal Heart, we have Transcode Talker, we have Dark Infant, which if a monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to, you can special summon as many level 4 or lower Adagnisters from your grave as possible. And with Dark Infant, when that effect activates, you can move this card over 1 zone to the direction it's pointing, so make sure that the Dark that the Dark Templar is in the right zone. And then this card can move over one and change its attribute, which is good for Arrival Cyberse Agonister stuff. However, if you notice, we're not playing Arrival Cyberse, and we'll get to that in a second. We have the Heat Soul, the Decode Talker Heat Soul. We have the Firewall Dragon. Firewall Dragon is actually really good because you can co-link it with a lot of different things to give you additional bounces. Access Code Talker, the Dark Fluid, which is a monster negate, which is again very strong. And then we have Singularity as well, which is a crazy card. So let's actually explain this card in particular. First of all, you can bounce a card your opponent controls up to the number of different types, Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, and Xyz you control or in your graveyard. This is why it's nice to actually be playing the Mathmech stuff, because that sends an Xyz to the graveyard, which is pretty important. And then on top of that, you have the ability to, and then it gains 500 attack. Also, if a monster this card points to is destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard in any capacity, you can target a Cyberse monster in your grave, special summon it. So notably, this allows you to special summon the like, for example, if you were to link off a monster, you would be able to special summon something back. Like, for example, if you link off a Firewall Dragon that is co-linked to your Singularity, you can bring back the Firewall Dragon, add a co-link, which then can be used to bounce another card, which is pretty strong, because this does have a once while this card is face up on the field in its effect. However, again, you could just bring it back, and then there you go. You have another Firewall bounce, which is pretty strong. So that's it for this list. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performed. Alright, so here we are going first, and yeah, this is a pretty good hand. We drew 3 of the Agonisters, which is very strong. So we're going to start off here with the Achichi. We're going to grab Baruru. This is a mistake. I should grab Hikari here, the water one, because it's actually able to special summon itself. The Baruru really doesn't do much here. So we're going to go for the Island. We're going to grab the Hikari. Hikari is going to grab I Meet You, and then I Meet You is going to reveal the Earth in order to grab Gachiri. Yeah. This is why it would have been better to grab the water one, because we could have searched out either the Baruru or the Gachiri, because we are playing the targets for that. We're not playing the water target for our extra deck, so it would have been better to grab the Hikari here. This is a bit of a mistake, but here we go. We're going to go for the Doyan here, and then go for the Cyberse Kid. This should be, again, in reverse order. It's been a long day, and this game was not played at the highest of peak. And you'll see that. We're going to grab the Sigma here, though. We could have grabbed the Baruru here off of Cyberse Kid again. So, yeah, lots more ways to search out the Baruru. Big mistake on my part. It's not going to matter too much, but, yeah. We also link off the Doyan in order to grab back the I Meet You. Now we can go and special summon a monster off of our island. Ignore this. This is literally a misclick. I just called the infip because I misclicked. I accidentally clicked this twice. I have a bit of a trigger finger, so whoops. We're going to special summon the Baruru, which will send in Achichi. This is, again, just, I didn't need to do this. But it's not really that big of a deal. We bring back a monster and then just go for Dark Templar. Dark Templar is then just going to, it's basically just a way to clear the field so that we can go for the Dark Infant while also getting the transcode engrave for a future use. We're going to go for the Dark Templar chaining the Dark Infant effect, and Dark Infant is going to move to the other zone. It's going to declare itself as divine, and then we're going to special summon 1, 2, and 3, and most notably, we are special summoning the Hikari and the Doyan. And the reason for this is because there are 2 4s, which allow us to now go into the full Mathmech line. So we're going to grab up the Circular here, and we're going to do the Circular into the... we send Addition here, since we already have the Sigma. Again, I probably shouldn't have searched it, but it's not that big of a deal, because now we can go for the Addition into Crystal Heart. We're going to go for Crystal Heart, and if you don't know what this one does, all it does, brings back Transcode Talker. That's it. That's all that it does. So we're going to link off into Singularity here. Singularity is a very impactful card for 2 reasons. 1, in order to take up both of the extra monster zones, you need to be able to co-link your monsters. And with Singularity, it means that diagonal arrows allow you to co-link, which means if you have Singularity and a monster that points down diagonally to the left and down diagonally to the right, you can V-link instead of U-link. So previously, you would have to go here, 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 all co-link. Now we can just go Singularity and 2 diagonal co-links, and then you're able to U-link or V-link your opponent, which basically prevents them from summoning a link monster, which is pretty nice. So here you can see the Splash Mage summons, and now we can go for the Transcode Talker off of the Singularity effect. we're going to bring back the Transcode Talker. We're going to go for the Splash Mage in order to bring back a monster to just go for the Heat Soul. We're going to go and activate the Heat Soul to draw a card, which happens to be Book of Eclipse, and then we can go Gachiri, negating the effect of our monster, and then we can go for Dark Fluid. I decided to go for Dark Fluid here. It might have been better to go for like a Firewall Dragon in this instance, just like a regular Firewall Dragon, and then maybe co-link it with the Decode Talker or something like that. But I decided to go for the Dark Fluid, and we can make our Singularity unaffected by by effects. So we have a monster negate, we have Max C, we have Book of Eclipse, and we have the Singularity, which is unaffected. So, you know, there's that. We're also going to draw a card and draw into Idle Reborn, which is pretty good. Fire the Maxi in the draw in the draw phase, and my opponent just passes. Yeah. Let me actually explain what all is happening here. So obviously there's not a whole lot, but if Singularity is on the field, at the very least we do have access to the 1 bounce. We also have the ability to negate. We have the Heat Soul, which drew us a card. Again, we have the Eclipse. And then more importantly, this card, if these leave the field, normally I should say if they are destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard, then we are able to then just special summon another one of our guys from the grave. Like, for example, a Transcode Talker, which that Transcode Talker could then bring back an additional monster. And then we still have access to Firewall, Access Code, and Link Decoder in the extra, which is pretty nice. So, yeah, if they had, like, evenly matched us, it could have been a problem, but they still would have had to get over the Singularity, which is unaffected. So, even if they did evenly match us, it's not really that big of a deal. Anyway, at this point, we're going to go for the Achichi, grab up the Hiyari like I should have, and then now we're going to go for the Firewall Dragon. Firewall Dragon will then allow us to, the Singularity will allow us to bring back the Transcode, which will then go into the Access Code, and we'll just finish here. We also gain a bunch of attack off of the Dark Fluid as well. So, it's just kind of big guy turbo. That's the deck. Alright, so here's the second list, and this is more standard Mathmech. They're also playing the Firewall Defensor, which honestly is pretty good. I do quite enjoy it. So yeah, we'll just do the quick card by card, and again, the explanation. Now this is going to be more self-explanatory, because this is something we've already seen. Triple Circular, we're playing 2 Diameter, 1 apiece of Addition and Sigma, and then we are playing a whole bunch of other Cyberse extenders, that being Firewall Defensor, which if this card is sent to the graveyard for the link summon of Cyberse monster, you can special summon Guardian, which also special summons itself if it's sent to the graveyard for the link summon of a Cyberse monster, and then it banishes itself when it leaves the field. Also, it has a graveyard effect, both of them do. They're not really that important. They're mostly just additional bodies, similar to what was it, Roxrose Dragon and that kind of stuff, back with like Halka and the like. Being able to do that now with the Firewall is more or less the same. We're also playing Triple Parallel Exceed, as well as some other bridges, like for example Dotscaper for the Small World. As for the rest of the cards, lots of hand traps, double Effect Veiler, triple Maxi, triple Ash Blossom, triple Infib. We're playing 2 triple Tactics as well. I'm playing 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. This wasn't played in the original deck, it was the 3rd Veiler, but I think Harpy's Feather Duster is just important on the ladder because stun exists, and it's nice to have that out. And then we have 2 Called By and a Crossout. As for the rest of the cards, we have the triple Signet Mining, we have the 1 Mathmech Equation, we have the 1 Mathmech Superfactorial, and then we have Small World. Small World's very nice, just gets us easier access to Circular. Almost everything can get into almost anything else because of the types and the attributes and the etc, etc. You just have to know the bridge that you need to go through, which is pretty easy. Basically, you go, cool, what monster has just one of the things that I'm looking for? This one, right? So for example, if I have a Maxi in my hand, I can go through Dotscaper because it's got nothing in common except for Earth, and then you can go from that, since it's got nothing in common with something like a Circular, you can go, cool, just has Cyberse, there you go, we're gonna grab that Cyberse. So basically everything gets to Circular, lots of ways to it, and it's very strong. As for the extra deck, it's very different, and it's mostly because we're not actually playing Singularity. I know we said Singularity was like the big thing, but we are playing one of the other newer cards in Dark Fluid. So this one, Neo Tempest Terahertz, allows you to negate any monster effect activated by your opponent during the battle phase, which is nice. At the very least, which is a quick effect. And then also you can send, as a quick effect, you can send a Cyberse monster from deck or extra deck to the grave, and if you do, this card gains the attribute of the monster sent to the graveyard and gains 2500 attack, making it very large and in charge. And then on top of that, It can attack monsters a number of times each battle phase, up to the number of different attributes this card has. So, most importantly, I should say, is that this allows us to send things like D-Save Worm as well as the Aggregator, because for some reason this is a Cyberse, I don't really know why. But D-Save Worm allows you to banish to negate a spell trap if you control a Link 4 or higher monster, and then an Aggregator on when it's sent to the graveyard, targets a face-up card on the field and negates its effects. So 2 pseudo negates, which again, pretty good. As for the rest of the cards, it's pretty self-explanatory. 1 Laplation for the Superfactorial, the 2 Alum Burtions, just in case things like the Diameter are banished or what have you. You still have the ability to go for that second Alum Burtion off of the Superfactorial. We also have the ability to summon the Parallel Exceed with any of our hand traps with Almirage, which also gets us full combo, which is why we're playing the 1 Almirage. We're also playing 1 Link Garibo and 1 Link Decoder for our Link 1s, all of which are pretty strong. We have Update Jammer and Access Code, which is, again, very strong in this list. Being able to go like Access Code or Update Jammer into Access Code to OTK is very, very nice. We have 1 Splash Mage, 1 G-Golem Crystal Heart, Transcode, Decode Talker, and then the Dark Fluid. That's it for the list. Let's hop into the replay and show you how the deck performed. Alright, so here we are going first, and let's see what this deck can do. So obviously we already have Circular in hand, so we're going to fire that one and dump Sigma. Sigma special summon itself back, activate the Circular, grab up Superfactorial, and then Exi into Alum Burtion. Alum Burtion is going to grab Diameter here by detaching it too. We're going to grab the Diameter, then we're going to go for the Signet Mining, pitching the Small World to grab Addition. Here we're going to normal summon the Diameter, Diameter bring back the Sigma. Sigma is then going to be linked off into Link Decoder. Then we can link those two off into Splash Mage, and you'll see why in a second. We're going to go for the Splash Mage, bring back Diameter, and then link off all of those for Transcode Talker. Now, Link Decoder brings itself back if you special summon a Cyberse monster with 2300 or more original attack. Hence why we decided to go for this, and then go for the Transcode. Transcode brings back the Splash Mage, and then we go into the Crystal Heart. Crystal Heart brings back the Transcode. Just constantly Link climbing. Here, we can now use both of those to go into Heat Soul. Heat Soul is a bit weird here, but I wanted to go for a different end board. So here we go for the Heat Soul and draw into Maxi. Fun. Now we can link off into Terahertz because this requires 3 monsters. We're going to activate the effect of the Terahertz, sending the D-Save Worm, sets 2, and pass. We also need to keep as many zones clear for the Superfactorial as we can. So there you go. That's what we're doing there. We're going to go with the Heat Soul here, draw a card. They're going to Maxi. I'm like, that's totally fine. I'm also going to Maxi myself. So I'm like, cool. There you go. They're going to go and then chain the Quick Launch. Okay, cool. I'm going to go for the Superfactorial. Fantastic. This is why I went for the Maxi first. And yeah, now Chainlink 5, by the way. So there we go. 1, 2, and 3. So we can play around the Maxi. And they're going to summon a monster for us because we had a Maxi of our own. Maxi is a fun card. So yeah, out comes the Rocket Tracer. We're going to try and draw a card. We end up drawing another Imperm. Not really that big of a deal. But Laplation is going to activate, and we're going to send a card from their hand, as well as this Rocket Tracer. So we hit the Imperm, as well as the Rocket Tracer. Now they're going to go for the Chaos Space. I'm going to negate with the D-Save Worm, which is pretty strong. Yeah, D-Save Worm is very good here. They ended up pitching a card, which was the Rocket Caliber, and now we have the Omni Negate of the Laplation, as well as the Infip to also negate. So, you know, feels pretty good. They're going to go for this guy, and again, we still have Maxi. We draw into Equation, not really that big of a deal, but yeah, that game was over. Good game. Alright, and here we have Code Talker, or more specifically, Mathmech Code Talker. The thing is, Mathmech is by far the best version of every Cyberse strategy, because it basically gets you 2 Cyberse monsters for free. And then on top of that, it also can search out additional cards, like for example, additional extenders, additional plays, etc. Now, this is a very modified list from the one that was actually topping the tournament, because honestly, this one is the most confusing to me. I just haven't given it enough time, but I kind of get the idea. Mostly, I just wanted to Ibly lock my opponent. So here is the list and the explanation. There we go. So we're starting off with the triple circular, 1 diameter, 1 addition, and 1 sigma. We also are playing the firewall defensor, as well as the 1 guardian, and then 2 parallel exceed. That's pretty standard here, right? We're also playing very few hand traps. It's just outs to maxi. We're playing triple ash blossom and double called by. We are also playing triple tack because it is just very nice to be able to get those additional extenders. And let me tell you, I got maxi twice, Nibiru'd twice, and lost those games. So yeah, maxi is a problem. But we're still playing the triple tack as well as the 1 thrust. This should be just 3 triple tack, but I didn't have it, so there you go. As for the rest of the list, this is where things get interesting. So of course we're playing Small World, so we're playing lots of Small World bridges, but we're also playing Cynet Codex, which allows us to search out a Cyberse monster with the same attribute as a Code Talker that we summon. So for example, if we summon a Heat Soul Code Talker, or which is a Decode Talker, we can then search out a Fire Link, or a Fire Cyberse monster. I'm not playing a Fire Cyberse monster because none of them are great, for example, but we are playing a bunch of other ones. Like, for example, Transcode Talker as well as Xcode Talker are Earth and Wind, respectively, so we can search out things like Code Generator, which basically uses itself from the hand as a link material for a Decode or Code Talker monster, and then Infra Link Flyer, which can also special summon itself from hand. So both of those are pretty good to search off of Codex. Pretty nice, right? As for the rest of the list, we're basically playing a bunch of other cards. We're playing 2 Microcoder to allow us to link summon from hand, similar to Code Generator. But then if it's used as a material for a link summon, you can search out Cynet cards, just in general. So you can search out Cynet Mining, Cynet Codec, or Cynet Conflict, which is just an Omni-Negate, as long as you control a Code Talker, which is pretty nice. We're also playing the one Link Infra Flyer, the one Code Generator, 1 Firewall Phantom to summon off of the Firewall Defensor. We're playing 1 Danmari and the 1 Gachiri at Ignister. These are just, again, targets that can special summon themselves or do something as a Dark and an Earth, respectively, right? So if you already have the Code Generator, you can search out the Gachiri, so stuff like that. As for the rest of the cards, we're playing triple Cynet Mining, the 1 Mathmech Equation, 1 Mathmech Superfactorial as well, the triple Small World, triple Cynet Codex, 1 Salaman Great Sanctuary. We'll get to that in a second. The 2 Called By and the Cynet Conflict. So, Corruptor Eebly. We all know this card, right? We all hate this card. But when it's normal summoned, you can target a link monster in your graveyard, special summon it to your field, so it points to this card, but changes attack to 0. Also, its effects are negated. However, you also cannot summon monsters except for link monsters, and if this card in its owner's control is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon it to the opponent's field in defense position, locking them into only summoning link monsters, and you can V-Link now, or U-Link, preventing them from utilizing that extra monster zone, basically preventing them from special summoning a monster. This is where Sanctuary comes in. You can search it off of any monster, any level 4 or lower Cyberse monster, with Baylinks. Baylinks searches out Sanctuary. Sanctuary has a very interesting effect, where if a monster battles, pay 1,000 life points, then target a link monster you control, its attack becomes 0. And if you do, gain life points equal to its original attack. Now, why would we do this? Well, if your Corruptor Eebly decides to try and attack in during the battle phase, what you can do is have your monster have 0 attack, so they crash, do not go to the graveyard, and just sit there staring at each other, meaning the Corruptor Eebly stays on the field and your opponent cannot special summon. That's the combo. Awesome. Yeah, it's very degenerate, but it's very strong. As for the extra deck, we're playing a lot of very different cards. We're playing 1 Laplation and 1 Alimbertion because we don't really have space for many other things, because we're playing a whole bunch of other cards. As I mentioned, the Baylinks, 1 Lingaribo. This is very important because it allows you to V-Link. We're also playing ourselves 1 Code Talker, 1 Code Talker Inverted, 1 Splash Mage, 1 G Golem Crystal Heart, an X Code Talker, which is basically just 3 arrows in pretty good zones, and a Wind, which is pretty nice. We have ourselves the 1 Transcode Talker, the 1 Heat Soul, 1 Protect Code, which can bring itself back as long as you have the ability to banish 3 link rating from the grave in order to special summon this guy, which is, again, very important, and it's also a dark, and it's also a Code Talker. We have the 1 Firewall Dragon, the 1 Access Code, and 1 Singularity. So let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performed. Alright, so here we are going first. Let's see what we can do. This is not math. It's not Mathmech, I promise. I promise it's not Mathmech. It's actually regular Code Talker. I promise. I literally had to check, but trust. We're gonna be playing Code Talker stuff. So we're gonna start off here with the Alimbertion. Grab up the Diameter. Diameter is going to normal summon itself. Sorry, we're gonna go for the Small World here. We're gonna reveal the Dotscaper to grab up Exceed. So we're gonna go for the normal summon of the Diameter. Diameter is going to bring back the Sigma. Sigma is going to link off into the Baylinks. Baylinks effect will activate. Alright, so here we are going second, but trust me, we're basically going first, and yes, this is not a Mathmech hand, it is a Cyberse hand, or a Code Talker hand. So there you go. My opponent's going to normal summon a monster that doesn't do anything, and we are going to go from here. The reason I'm showing you this duel is because it's honestly just better than most of the other ones in terms of what we actually end up accomplishing. So we're going to start off here to grab up the Cynet Coder. We pitch the Dotscaper. Dotscaper's effect is going to activate special summoning itself. Here we can go for the Balinks. Balinks effect will activate in order to search out the Sanctuary. Then we can activate the Sanctuary just because, and we are going to link into Code Talker using the microcoder in hand. Here we can grab the Cynet Codex, and now we can activate the Circular effect. We're going to go for the Circular, dumping the Sigma, and then go for the Addition to grab up the equation off of Circular. Here we link off into Transcode Talker. Transcode will then allow us to search out a card. We grab a Code Generator. And then we're going to bring back another monster, and then link it off using the Code Generator to go into Xcode Talker. Xcode will then be targeted with the Codex, as well as we are going to activate the the Code Generator, as well as the Xcode Talker. Xcode Talker is just going to prevent them from using that monster zone, and we send Ibly to the graveyard. Here we grab up the Parallel Exceed. We then link off into G-Golem Crystal Heart and activate the Parallel Exceed. We're going to summon the second Exceed and then go into Splash Mage. We're going to activate the Splash Mage, bringing back the Ibly, and then we are going to activate the G-Golem, bringing back the Transcode. Transcode will now be linked off into the Firewall Dragon, and yeah, that's pretty nice. We're going to go and activate the Ibly, giving it to the opponent here. And yes, I know I'm going second, but I wanted to do the combo, so here you go. We're going to go and bring back the a Mathmech to go into Heat Soul here. And we're going to go for the Heat Soul in the middle zone. Kind of weird, but we draw 2 Diameter because, yeah, pretty nice. We had a normal summoned, and we had 2 small worlds. I was like, if I draw a monster here, we probably have full combo, and we can do a little bit more. And that was, like, one of the best draws. We're going to go for the Singularity here, using the Heat Soul here. And then, since we don't have a monster in the extra monster zone, we can go Sigma. So we're going to go for the Sigma to go for the Protect Code Talker, and then we can go for the Codex, or the Codec. Singularity then is also able to target the Addition. I just target the Addition because it's a different attribute, which I think is more important. And we grab the Donamari. Here we can actually go for the Small World, which is very nice. We're going to reveal the Circular in order to grab up the Infra Flyer, which then allows it to special summon itself. We then go into the Access Code Talker here, and we're going to activate the Access Code Talker, targeting a monster, and then I link off into the Lingaribo. This is a mistake. This is just straight up a mistake. I didn't realize Protect Code had the ability to special summon itself at this point. I was still new to the deck, so I didn't know what this was doing. But yeah, realistically, I should have special summoned the Protect Code into this zone, and then we could have gone for the Lingaribo in order to give us the full suite of the U-Link, right? It doesn't really matter all that much because, yeah, my opponent's not really going to do anything. But we're going to walk in for 4,500, and we do have the Ibly as well as the Sanctuary. So at the very least, they're still locked into only summoning Link monsters, so there's that. They're going to normal summon a monster. I'm just going to bounce it back to their hand, and then they are going to pass at the turn. They don't really have much more else, or much else that they can do, and we're just going to walk over them with the Access Code Talker. Well, first I go for the Code Talker inverted because it's funny, and then we're going to grab up the Circular again. It's funny. It's not really funny. It's just mean. But we're gonna go for the Access Code Talker for lethal. So good game. All right. So here we are back with all of the decks, and honestly, these decks have gotten a lot better. They're not really doing all that much more in terms of their end boards or anything like that. They still lose to similar things, Bestials and the like, but most notably, they do now have a lot more extenders, and they kind of play similar to like Infernoble, when Infernoble was popular, basically playing less hand traps and more so just focusing on like playing through the opponent's boards with just the myriad of extenders that they now have, as well as being able to end on some slightly better boards. The boards aren't all that much more impressive. Like, for example, you can still do the Transcode Talker Heat Soul combo and just play a whole bunch of hand traps. You could also do the Singularity stuff. Like, there's a lot of different plays that you can go for, which I think really provides a lot of value to the Cyberse strategy. Because the thing is, when you see Circular, you don't know whether or not you're going to be hand trapped or you're going to be ending on Singularity with a Firewall Dragon and a V-Link that prevents you from Link summoning or anything like that, or if you're going to have to like worry about playing through multiple hand traps or what have you. Which, pretty scary, right? And I think that really is the value of Cyberse, right? Right now, or I should say recently, the MCS hosted a tournament that had four, I think 4 in the top 16 or something like that. 4 Cyberse piles. And 3 of them, I know, were different. All 3 of these decks that we looked at were basically based off of those MCS decks. This one was the most different, but they all had a very different strategy. This one was very, very combo-centric, utilizing the code talkers to get, like, Cynet Conflict and V-Link your opponent. They weren't playing the Italy, but, like, that was kind of the idea, just, like, summon out a whole bunch of guys and basically prevent your opponent from playing the game. In order to do that, with, like, Cynet Conflict and Singularity, or Superfactorial and the like, you had the regular Mathmech stuff that's focused more on, like, being consistent and following up on your turn 1 plays to be able to, like, access code OTK on the following turn with the update jammer. And then you had that first one that was also very focused on, like, summoning out a lot of big guys that really had a lot of interactions, and more specifically being able to summon out the Singularity. Right, both of the big combo-centric styles were focused on this card in particular, which just kind of does a whole lot. So, there's Mathmech. That's Cyberse in a nutshell, and the deck as a whole, post most recent release. But yeah, that's it for the list. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy it. If you did, I like us very much, I appreciate it. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.